Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're going to unlock the secrets of peak performance.
Oh, yeah, we're talking about flow
You
states.
know those moments where you're totally absorbed in what you're doing and you completely lose track of time?
It's like being in the zone, completely focused, energized, and in the moment.
And the best part, it's not just some mystical experience reserved for artists or athletes.
Absolutely. Flow is a neurological state that we can actually understand and even learn to trigger it ourselves.
But here's the thing, a lot of us are missing out, big time.
How so?
Well, a Gallup survey found that a whopping 71% of American workers aren't really engaged in their jobs.
Wow, that's like 2 out of every 3 people just going through the motions.
Exactly. But here's the good news. The other 29%, they're experiencing flow in their work.
And we're going to figure out how they're doing it.
So flow isn't just about feeling good. It's about getting results.
That's right. And there's actually data to back that up.
Right.
Yeah, a CNN report found that happiness at work can actually boost sales by 37%, productivity by 31%, and even accuracy on tasks by 19%.
Okay, so we know that flow is something we all want more of. But before we get into how to trigger it, let's break down what it actually is.
So flow, as defined by psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, is a state of complete absorption in an activity where you lose track of time and your sense of self just seems to fade away.
It's that feeling of being totally in the zone, like you're just one with the task at hand.
Exactly. And it's not just limited to work, right? It's about being fully alive and engaged in whatever you're doing.
It's like that quote by civil rights leader Howard Thurman, "Don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive. Because what the world needs most is more people who have come alive."
I love that. It really captures the essence of flow, that feeling of being truly alive and in the moment.
And you know where we see some of the most dramatic examples of flow?
Where,
In the world of extreme sports,
oh, absolutely.
where flow becomes not just a performance enhancer, but a survival mechanism.
Right. The stakes are so high, it's literally do or die.
So tell me about some of these extreme examples that really showcase flow in action.
Okay, well, have you ever heard of Shane McConkey?
The skier. I
Yeah.
think so, remind me.
He was a professional skier and base jumper. This guy was known for his playful and fearless approach.
Sounds like my kind of guy.
Well, you want to know how in tune with flow he was? He once decided to perform a double backflip off a cliff wearing nothing but ski boots.
He did not. What was he thinking?
It sounds crazy, right? But it's a perfect example of that fearlessness and playfulness that can come with flow states.
I guess when you're that present and absorbed, your sense of risk, even self-preservation, just kind of shifts.
Exactly. It's a whole other level of being in the zone.
So it's not just skiers and base jumpers, right?
Yeah.
We see this in other extreme sports as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like skateboarders. Danny Way, a pro skater known for pushing the limits, is another incredible example.
I've heard of him, the mega ramp guy, right?
That's him. The massive structure with terrifying drops and gaps.
Yeah, that thing looks insane. What's so remarkable about Danny Way?
His resilience. This guy once competed and won on that mega ramp with a broken ankle.
What? With a broken ankle?
It's true. He broke it while practicing in China on, honestly, a pretty shoddy ramp that had already claimed the life of another athlete.
Oh, wow.
But then he came back to the U.S. and won the X Games on that same broken ankle. That's the power of flow. It pushes you beyond perceived limitations.
Okay, that is unbelievable. So we've got skiers, skateboarders, any surfers on this list of extreme flow masters?
Of course. We can't forget about surfers. Laird Hamilton, the big wave surfer, comes to mind.
Oh, yeah. The guy who conquered the monstrous Tihupu wave.
That's the one. He even pioneered a technique called toe-in surfing.
Toe in surfing? What's that?
So he used a jet ski to get enough speed to actually catch waves that were larger than people thought was even possible.
Whoa.
And get this, he didn't just ride the famous Millennium Wave. He rode 2 even bigger waves that same day.
No way.
Yeah, and one of them even had boat wakes that he had to, like, jump over.
Yeah.
Talk about being in the zone.
That's mind-blowing. But, you know, it makes you wonder, what is going on in their brains when they're pulling off these death-defying stunts?
Right. Well, that brings us to the neuroscience of flow.
Oh, okay, let's get into it.
So flow is more than just a feeling. It's a measurable neurological state. You see, our brains produce different types of brain waves, and each of these brain waves is associated with a different mental state.
Okay, so break this down for me. What kind of brainwaves are we talking about when it comes to flow?
Well, the research is always evolving, but one thing we do know is that flow is associated with decreased activity in the prefrontal cortex.
And remind me, what does the prefrontal cortex do again?
That's the part of your brain that's in charge of self-awareness, self-monitoring, And you guessed it, doubt.
So is that why it feels like time disappears and our inner critic goes silent when we're in a flow state?
You got it. It's like our brains just hit the mute button on all that unnecessary noise.
That's amazing.
Oh, and to make things even better, there's a whole surge of neurochemicals like dopamine, norepinephrine, endorphins, anandamide, and serotonin.
Wow. A neurochemical cocktail for peak performance.
It's like falling in love with the activity itself.
I like that. So that's why people can become so passionate and dedicated to what they're doing, huh?
Yeah, and that cocktail we were talking about, it also accelerates social bonding, which explains why teams who train together often experience flow together.
That makes sense. Like those Red Bull athletes who trained together in Switzerland for that wingsuit base, jump off the Willis Tower.
Exactly. They actually practiced in such tight formations that one of the team members said he could read emotion in the back of JT's shoe.
Okay, so we've got a pretty good understanding of what flow feels like and what's happening in the brain when we're in that state. But how do we, regular people who aren't, jumping off skyscrapers, actually tap into this flow state in our everyday lives?
So that is the million-dollar question, right?
It is.
And the good news is, there are definitely strategies and techniques we can use to make flow more accessible.
All right, let's hear them. I'm ready to unlock my inner flow master.
Well, one of the key elements is finding the right challenge.
Okay, what do you mean by right challenge?
A challenge that sits just slightly above your current skill level.
So it's about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing yourself just enough to be engaged, but not so overwhelmed that you just want to give up.
Exactly. It's like hitting that Goldilocks zone of challenge. Think about Doug Ammons, for instance.
Doug Ammons.
Yeah, he was this expert kayaker who did a solo descent of the Stikine River.
Okay, that sounds pretty intense.
Oh, it was. The river's difficulty and isolation, it pushed him way beyond his comfort zone. But it wasn't until he had to perform this super difficult role in the middle of a challenging rapid that he found his flow state. And then from there, he was able to navigate the rest of the river.
So it's really about finding those challenges that truly engage you and take you to that next level.
It is.
But there's more to it than just pushing harder.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
What else is there?
Well, another crucial factor is cultivating a growth mindset.
The power of believing you can improve. Tell me more about that.
Okay, so psychologist Carol Dweck found that people with a growth mindset, they believe they can actually develop their abilities. Whereas people with a fixed mindset, they believe that their abilities are basically set in stone.
Oh, I see.
And this growth mindset is super crucial for flow because it helps you to see those challenges not as threats, but as opportunities for growth.
That makes sense. If you're afraid to fail or try new things, you're probably less likely to find that sweet spot of challenge that we were just talking about.
Exactly.
So is there a downside to this?
Well, Jamie Wheel, who's an expert in flow states, believes that a fixed mindset can actually make it harder to recover from those flow states, which can lead to kind of a cycle of chasing the high,
So it's not just about reaching that flow state. It's about having a healthy relationship with it as well. Okay, so finding the right challenge, cultivating a growth mindset. What else?
Speaking of healthy integration, we have to talk about risk.
Oh, yeah, risk.
Yeah.
It definitely played a role in all those extreme sports examples we were talking about earlier.
For sure.
But how do we approach risk intelligently when we're, trying to find flow in our everyday lives?
Think back to those Red Bull athletes prepping for that Willis Tower jump. They were taking calculated risks, right?
Right.
They studied building wind patterns, trained extensively so they could avoid collisions, and they even worked to overcome their fear of heights.
So it's about calculated risks, not just throwing caution to the wind and hoping for the best.
Precisely.
What other strategies do we have in our flow toolkit?
Well, another powerful one is harnessing the power of dot groups.
Group flow. We
Yeah.
briefly touched on that with those Red Bull guys. Tell me more about that.
So people work together towards a shared goal, and there's clear communication and a strong sense of camaraderie. It can really amplify that flow experience.
I can see that. It's like the synergy of that shared purpose and collaboration takes it to a whole new level.
It really does.
Any real-world examples of this in action?
Oh, definitely. One of the most fascinating is Camp 4.
Camp 4, yeah, the legendary rock climbing camp in Yosemite.
That's it.
What was it about Camp 4 that made it such a breeding ground for group flow?
The social dynamics. It was this really unique blend of competition and collaboration.
So these climbers were like pushing each other to new heights,
Yeah.
but also supporting each other every step of the way.
They were constantly sharing knowledge, experimenting with new techniques, and celebrating each other's successes. It fostered this really powerful sense of community and collective flow.
It sounds like the perfect recipe for innovation and breakthroughs.
It was. And that's a really valuable lesson for all of us, right? Finding your tribe, those people who share your passions and push you to be your best, it can unlock amazing levels of creativity, productivity, and, of course, joy.
So group flow isn't just about working together. It's about finding that synergistic energy that comes from shared purpose and a sense of belonging.
Exactly.
And this isn't just limited to climbing or even extreme sports, right?
No, not at all.
It could be like jazz musicians jamming together or software developers collaborating on a complex project.
Exactly. It can happen anywhere. People come together with a common goal.
I'm starting to see how powerful this concept of group flow can be, not just in our personal lives, but also for, creating positive change in the world.
Right.
It's like we can tap into a collective intelligence and solve problems together in a more creative and effective way.
It's really exciting to think about the possibilities.
It is.
And it brings us to another really fascinating aspect of flow.
What's that?
Its power to drive cultural evolution.
Well, hold on. We've been talking about how flow helps individuals achieve amazing things.
Yeah,
But now you're saying it can also have a profound impact on entire societies.
it can.
Okay, I'm needing an example.
Think about action and adventure sports, for example.
Okay.
A few decades ago, these activities were seen as like fringe pursuits.
Right, for daredevils only.
Yeah.
But now,
Now they're mainstream.
it's true. It feels like everyone is into extreme sports now, or at least fascinated by them.
Right. And this shift is largely due to the power of flow. You see, these athletes, by pushing their limits and doing things that seemed impossible, they captured our imaginations.
I see.
And in doing so, they inspired us to embrace a more adventurous and creative approach to life.
It's like they've expanded our understanding of what's possible, not just physically, but in terms of what it means to be human.
Exactly.
And I'm guessing technology has played a pretty big role in this, right?
Absolutely. Video cameras let us witness these incredible feats, and the internet.
Connects us all.
Right. It connects a global community of flow seekers and innovators.
So it's this amazing combination of pushing human potential to the absolute limit and then sharing those experiences with the world, inspiring others to push their own limits.
It's a beautiful cycle that just keeps accelerating.
That is awesome.
And, as more and more people embrace flow and explore their potential,
Yeah.
we're going to see an explosion of creativity and innovation in every area of life.
It's true.
From art and music to science and technology.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
But it also raises a really important question.
It does. If flow can transform individuals and even reshape societies,
Yeah.
how can we use it to create a more sustainable, equitable, and fulfilling world for everyone?
Wow, that's a big one.
It's fascinating how, we often think we need to push harder in the same direction to achieve flow.
Yeah.
But sometimes the key is actually developing a completely different skill set, almost like going sideways to reach a new level in our chosen pursuit.
Okay, going sideways. I like that. Can you give me an example?
Let's talk about big wave surfer Ian Walsh.
Okay.
He grew up on Maui, practically in the shadow of Jaws.
Jaws, the surf break.
Yeah, one of the most notorious big wave surf breaks in the world.
Oh, wow. Yeah, even the name is intimidating.
It is, and Walsh knew that to ride those giant waves, he'd need more than just, surfing skills.
Right.
Especially considering the brutal wipeouts and hold downs.
Oh, yeah, being held underwater by a wave that size doesn't sound fun.
It's not. And Walsh realized that even though he was a really strong surfer, his breath-holding abilities were just average.
Right.
So he did something really interesting.
What did he do? Did he, hit the gym? Start doing underwater laps?
He trained with a free diving expert.
Free diving!
Yeah, free diving is all about pushing the limits of breath holding.
Right.
And Walsh knew this would give him a huge advantage in big wave surfing.
That's amazing. So he went sideways, like you said, and developed a skill in a totally different area to improve at his main thing.
Exactly. And guess what? It worked.
Mm-hmm.
After just a few weeks of training, he could hold his breath for over 4 minutes.
4 minutes?
Yeah, that's long enough to handle those crazy multi-wave hold downs at Jaws. And he went on to conquer some of the biggest waves ever ridden.
That's a really inspiring story.
It is.
It's a great example of how flow isn't always about, pushing harder.
Right.
It's about being strategic and finding those creative solutions. It's also a good reminder that we can learn and grow in all sorts of unexpected ways.
Absolutely. And it actually brings us to another really important aspect of the flow journey,
Which
the
is
recovery process.
recovery. Why is that so important when we're talking about flow?
Well, flow states, they're intense.
Yeah.
They can be incredibly demanding, both physically and mentally. And coming down from that flow high can be a little jarring.
Yeah, I can see that. It's like you're operating on all cylinders, everything's just clicking,
Right.
and then suddenly you're back in reality, and it's like, whoa, what just happened?
Exactly. The feel-good neurochemicals fade away.
Right.
That sense of superhuman ability vanishes. And this is actually where that growth mindset we were talking about earlier comes in handy.
Okay, so remind me why that mindset is so important in this recovery process.
Because it helps you see these post-flow challenges,
Yeah.
not as failures, but as opportunities for growth. If you believe you can improve, you're not going to get discouraged so easily when that flow state subsides.
So it's about embracing the entire journey, not just chasing those peak experiences.
It is. And action and adventure athletes really get this.
Yeah.
They understand that pushing their limits,
Hmm.
it involves this cycle of struggle,
Right.
release, recovery, and then back to the struggle again.
It's like a dance, huh?
It is.
Between pushing your boundaries and then integrating those experiences back into your everyday life.
Exactly. And these athletes, they also understand the importance of community and collaboration.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Flow states can be amazing on an individual level, but when they're shared,
Yeah.
something really magical happens.
We're talking group flow, right? We touched on this a bit earlier with the Red Bull Air Force.
Right.
Can you tell me a bit more about how this group flow plays out in the real world?
Well, one of the most fascinating examples comes from the world of rock climbing. Back in the 1960s, there was this place called Camp 4
Yeah, Camp 4.
in Yosemite National Park. It became a gathering place
Some
for
of the best, yeah.
incredibly talented and ambitious climbers.
It's legendary. What was it about Camp 4 that made it such a breeding ground for group flow?
It was the social dynamics,
Hmm.
competition and collaboration.
Yeah.
They thrived there in equal measure.
So these climbers, they were pushing each other to new heights, but also supporting each other every step of the way.
Exactly. They were constantly sharing knowledge, experimenting with new techniques,
Cool.
and celebrating each other's successes.
Nice.
It fostered this really powerful sense of community and collective flow.
It sounds like the perfect recipe for innovation and breakthroughs.
It was.
Wow.
And this is a really valuable lesson for all of us, right? Finding your tribe.
Yeah.
Those people who share your passions and push you to be your best.
Yeah.
It can unlock some amazing levels of creativity, productivity, and, of course, joy.
So group flow isn't just about working together.
No.
It's about finding that synergistic energy
Right.
that comes from shared purpose
Yes.
and a sense of belonging.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And, this isn't just limited to climbing
Right.
or extreme sports.
Right.
Think about
Musicians.
musicians improvising together,
Yeah.
or software developers collaborating on a complex project.
Right.
It can happen anywhere people come together with a common goal.
I'm starting to see how powerful this group flow could be, not just in our personal lives, but also, for creating positive change in the world. It's like we can tap into a collective intelligence
Right.
and solve problems together
Yeah.
in a more creative and effective way.
And that actually brings us to another fascinating aspect of flow.
Okay.
Tell me more. Its power to drive cultural evolution.
Okay, hold on. We've been talking about how flow can help individuals achieve some pretty amazing things, right?
Yeah. Right.
But now you're saying it can also have a profound impact on entire societies.
It can.
Okay, you're going to have to give me an example here.
Think about skateboarding.
Skateboarding, okay.
In the early days, it was seen as kind of a rebellious subculture,
Right.
but something really fascinating happened in the late 1980s.
What happened?
Skateboarding videos.
Skateboarding videos.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I remember those.
Yeah.
Full of crazy stunts and, innovative tricks.
Exactly. And those videos, they had a huge impact on the evolution of skateboarding. For the first time, skateboarders could actually see
Yeah.
what was possible.
Yeah.
They could study the techniques
Right.
of the best
Right.
and push each other to new levels.
It's like those videos, They created a shared language, a way for skateboarders to connect and like build on each other's creativity.
It was. And, it was actually just about the tricks.
Right.
Those videos also helped to spread the dot culture of skateboarding.
Okay.
The music, the fashion, that sense of community
Right.
and self-expression.
It's amazing how something as simple as a video camera could have such a powerful impact
It really is.
on an entire subculture.
Right. And, this wasn't just a dot skateboarding phenomenon.
Right.
We've seen the same pattern in dot surfing, dot snowboarding, dot base jumping, dot you name it. Being able to document and share these incredible feats.
Yeah.
It's played a huge role in pushing human potential
Yeah.
and inspiring others to follow suit.
So it's about like capturing that essence of flow
Yes.
and sharing it with the world,
Right.
making it accessible so that it can spark inspiration and innovation.
Mm.
But it's not just about watching others, is it?
You're right. There's also a crucial element of embracing risk
Okay.
and pushing beyond our own comfort zones.
Right.
All the athletes we've been talking about,
Yeah.
the Shane McConkeys, the Danny Ways, the Laird Hamiltons, they're all pioneers. They're willing to challenge the status quo and experiment with new possibilities, even when it means, facing danger and uncertainty.
It's that willingness to explore and that adventure
Yeah.
that allows them to achieve those extraordinary things.
It does. And,
Yeah.
it's that same spirit
Yeah.
that we need to cultivate if we want to tackle the really complex challenges
Yeah.
facing humanity today: climate change, poverty, social injustice.
It's a lot. Yeah.
We need to think outside the box, challenge assumptions,
Right.
and experiment,
Yeah.
even if those new approaches seem risky.
It's like we need to adopt the global growth mindset.
Exactly. And, flow isn't just about individual achievement.
No, it's not.
It's about tapping into that collective intelligence,
Yes.
that wellspring of creativity
Yeah.
that emerges when people come together
Right.
with shared purpose and a willingness to support each other's growth.
This is all very hopeful and inspiring, but I got to admit, it can feel a little overwhelming at times.
I hear you.
The problems we face are massive. How can we? How can we possibly make a difference? I hear you, it's a lot. But where do we even begin?
We start by recognizing the power of flow and its ability to enhance, human potential.
Okay.
We create environments that foster collaboration, creativity, shared purpose.
Okay.
We adopt that growth mindset we were talking about and learn from our mistakes.
Right.
And most importantly, we believe in our collective ability to create a more sustainable, equitable, and fulfilling world.
Yeah.
For everyone.
It's a tall order.
It is. But
Yeah.
you know what? After today's deep dive,
Yeah.
I'm feeling a glimmer of hope.
Me too, actually. We've covered so much ground. We've explored the science behind flow, uncovered some practical ways to access it in our own lives, and even glimpsed its potential to, change the world.
It's powerful stuff.
It is.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I'm feeling pretty inspired to go out and find my flow, connect with others, and, contribute to something larger than myself.
That's what it's all about. And remember, flow, it's not a
you-
destination.
It's not.
It's a journey. It's about continuously pushing ourselves, learning new skills, and embracing the unknown.
I like that.
So get out there, explore your passions, connect with your tribe, and see what amazing things you can achieve.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into flow states. Until next time, keep seeking, keep growing, and keep flowing.